To discuss the possible future of ISIL, we are now joined live from Kingston, New York, joined by American trend forecaster, publisher of the TrendsJournal, Gerald Celente. Hello, welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome to the show, Gerald. Well, a rather serious subject. We have to discuss this. I mean, how likely are the latest operations? I mean, some people are saying, could we see some kind of an end to ISIL? Oh,
not at all. I've seen this happen since the invasion of Iraq began in 2003. It's been turmoil just by different names. So whether it was the slaughters going on since the beginning or the new group now, this is just an ongoing civil war with no end in sight, just new names taking new positions, but it's just more of the same. And you always hear this, that this is going to be a major battle and it'll set the stage for an ultimate defeat. And it really doesn't happen like that at all. It's just going to continue with new players, new names, and more slaughter unless the fundamentals are really changed.
And obviously more groups of militants joining one another. I mean, for instance, like Boko Haram.
Yes, I mean, you go up and down the list, whether it's al-Nusra, whether it's Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, whether it's Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, the Libyan Islamic fighting group, one after another. So, no, look, I'm a trend forecaster. I've been writing about this basically since 1993. One of my books was Trends 2000. And I wrote that book. It came out in 1996, nearly 20 years ago. And I forecast Crusades 2000 as you're waking up in the new millennium. And what I said was that devout Muslims throughout the world, politically repressed and impoverished, were rising up against their endemically corrupt and inefficient secular governments with their pro-Western alliances. Imperialism, directly or indirectly, took the blame for the poverty, the lack of opportunity, and the social and moral decay. Disenfranchised, desperate, politically powerless, Muslims in many countries look to charismatic clerics to change their destinies. Here we have it. Everybody could see this coming. It's only another crusade. Nothing has changed. This is the 10th crusade. They always give different reasons why they're invading other countries, and all they do is destabilize them, propping up one dictator after another.
So, I'm sorry, you were just saying that the root cause has not been addressed.
Of course not. Has anybody talked about the 1 million people that have been slaughtered in Iraq since the invasion began under false pretenses that Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda? Has anybody talked about who these Sunnis are? Reportedly, these are guys that were thrown into jails after the invasion happened because the Sunnis were running the show back then, and then the United States installed the Shia regimes into it. These guys have been tortured. They have no future. They have no life in front of them. Of course they go to extremes. Who wouldn't in any similar situation? If your country was bombed by an outside force, if all your family was killed, if your nation was destroyed, you think you'd be out of your mind with revenge?
And may I ask you, we have people in Britain going to join these groups. They are not necessarily, and there are reports about this, they're not necessarily underprivileged people. Now, but they're joining these groups.
Well, what they're doing is, first of all, this is more propaganda to get the people to support the ongoing wars. Let's suppose that not only 3 young girls from Britain go to Syria. What difference is that going to make? What if 100 went? What if 1,000 went? How big is the United States military? What, about 1.5 million people? People are joining every day. So what do you have, people going around the world to join these forces as though it's going to make a big difference? Has anybody asked the English? Has anybody asked Cameron, why did you invade Libya and set the ground stage for the Libyan Islamic fighting group? Why are you going back into Iraq? What are you doing in Afghanistan? So 3 or 5 kids go into these countries, and now it's a big deal. This is to keep the propaganda going so the people can continue to live in a state of fear. They just made a big deal about arresting 2 kids, 16, 17-year-old kids in Australia that were going to an undetermined destination in the Middle East. So what?
So in your opinion, what is the solution? Obviously, one of the things is to cut their funds, to find the route.
Exactly. Well, look, you're calling me from colonial Kingston, New York. I'm standing on the most historic 4 corners in the United States, the only place where there's a stone building that predates the Revolutionary War. Every one of the founding fathers, including George Washington, who was a real warrior, a real commander-in-chief, not one of these chicken hawks, his farewell address is no foreign entanglements. Benjamin Franklin, no foreign entanglements. Jefferson, Adams, Madison. We have no business being there. Our country is rotting. The infrastructure, the gap between the rich and the poor is widest since the days of the Gilded Age, and we're waging wars around the globe with no victories in sight. And the same for other countries. Can't France stay out of Africa? What are they doing there? Why are all these colonial powers still on their imperialistic trips? We have no business there. This is only the business of the people in these countries. And I don't want to hear the stories from these politicians anymore about the humanitarian mission BS, because all it is another excuse for more war. So people have to stay home, mind their own business, and take care of their own affairs.
And on that note, we thank you very much indeed for joining us here at Radio Sputnik. We were joined by American trend forecaster, publisher of the Trends Journal, Gerald Celente.